Next up, a laughing session from the Laughing Cow. Now, unpeel a wedge of the Laughing Cow light spreadable cheese, a delicious snack with 2 grams of protein and 25 calories per wedge.
Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital? Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast. Hello!
Hi!
Welcome to the Port Charles 411. Today is Bobbie Part 10, the entire year of 1999.
Yes, and this one, I feel like the writing may not be as long, but I'm just going to interject like I did last week because I watched all of it and I was loving it. So I kept it as 1 year. I feel like after this, we'll probably get into more of chunks, kind of like we did with Lucky. Certain years were like super heavy on the storyline and then other years were not.
Yep.
So. All right, so it begins with Jason discussing new penthouses when Bobbie arrives and learns Carly plans to live with Jason and Michael. Concerned for their safety and emotional stability, Bobbie suggests Carly move into a vacant apartment at the Brownstone. Although Carly resists, Jason eventually agrees, leading to emotional scenes as Michael begins splitting time between his parents. Bobbie warns Carly not to manipulate Jason, but Carly admits her main goal is to have him, revealing her jealousy towards Robin. Bobbie tries to guide Carly towards independence, yet Carly's reliance on Jason continues, especially when she calls him over because Michael won't stop crying. Bobbie cautions Jason that both parents must let Michael adapt to having 2 homes and that his attachment to Carly shouldn't come at Robin's expense. That was hard to watch.
This is when we were saying Jason was dad still.
Right. We're saying that Jason's dad still, and they're not together. Like him and Carly are not together because that's not what Jason wants. He's starting to pursue the relationship with Robin, but he's such a good dad, but he's too much of a good dad, if that makes sense, because she goes to the Brownstone and, Michael starts crying. First, Carly flips out on Bobbie because Bobbie gets called away to an emergency surgery. And Bobbie's like, we're not making this about you. The poor woman who got in the accident who needs my service is where I'm going. And you can stay home with your son. You'll be fine. And she's like, well, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to do this. And so she calls Jason because Michael wakes up. But it's a simple, let Michael cry for a few minutes and he'll fall back asleep. And so Bobbie comes home from this extra shift that she pulled and Jason's there and she's like, why are you here? And he's like, well, if my son needs me, I'm going to be here. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But Bobbie obviously has experience and knows that if the kid's going to learn separate houses, you have to let him learn separate houses.
Right.
So it just makes me love Jason even more because he was like, no, my son needs me. So as tensions rise,
Carly was so insecure at her ability too. And I mean, she's just now getting this relationship with Bobbie where Bobbie's trying to be maternal towards her, but from what we feel like, she didn't really have a good maternal relationship with Virginia. And then her own mother gave her away. So like she's doubting herself left and right. And even though Jason went through his memory loss and all that, he has been surrounded by very loving people. So he's had even though he doesn't remember back to his childhood, I feel like he can see people giving a good example of what a good parent should be. But Carly's never really been around that. And then when she was kind of given the chance to start, she had her own issues that she had to get taken care of. And, she felt like she abandoned her son and mom guilt times a million, probably,
Right. Absolutely, but she was also totally using Michael to try to get time with Jason. So
there is that. I mean, I do remember that, but yes.
Yes. As tensions rise, Robin confides in Bobbie about her frustration, and Bobbie advises her that if Jason's priority is Michael, she may need to take a step back. Meanwhile, Bobbie's own relationship with Jerry Jacks deepens, and she temporarily leaves town with her son Lucas for a diabetes program. So this is whenever we first learned, remember last week we were talking about Lucas having the issues with his diabetic stuff because he wasn't eating. Mm-hmm. Apparently there was a study at some other hospital that she had been trying to get him into. And so she finally got him into the study, but they had to go to that hospital for an extended stay. Upon returning, she learns that Robin and Jason have broken up and Carly is back in the penthouse with Jason and Michael. Bobbie realizes Carly's schemes have destroyed Robin's relationship and confronts her daughter, accusing her of using Michael to manipulate Jason. Carly confesses that AJ is Michael's biological father, shocking Bobbie, who wrestles with her disappointment and guilt as a mother. Confiding in Jerry, Bobbie recounts her own painful past involving Lucas's adoption and relates it to Michael's situation, concluding that Jason is the true father figure despite biology. And she really goes off on Carly for this because she goes over to the penthouse and is like, okay, so I know I was gone, but like what happened? Because when I left, he was with Robin and now you're suddenly back here. And she says, oh, it's totally Robin's fault. She told information that she didn't need to tell and got it so that Michael might be taken away from Jason. And Bobbie still thinks that Jason is the dad. And so he's like, what could she have possibly said? And then it turns out that Jason had confided in Robin that AJ was actually the biological dad and that Robin went ahead and told AJ that.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did. Bobbie later appeals to Monica, urging her to prioritize Michael's emotional well-being over bloodlines, using both of their experiences with non-biological motherhood as examples. Monica remains conflicted, but Bobbie continues to advocate for Jason and Michael to stay together. Then Bobbie learns that Ruby, her beloved aunt and mentor, had died suddenly. Grieving deeply, she reminisces about Ruby's unwavering love and guidance. Jason comforts her, offering help with arrangements, and Bobbie reflects on the stability Ruby represented in all of their lives. Liz and Lucky arrive at Kelly's diner where they learn from Bobbie that Ruby has passed away peacefully in her sleep due to an undisclosed heart condition. Shocked and saddened, Lucky offers to help. Later, he takes a walk with Liz to process the news. Bobbie and Carly work together to prepare Kelly's for an open house in Ruby's honor, just as Ruby would have wanted. Bobbie reflects on Ruby's wisdom and kindness even when her advice was difficult to accept and thanks Carly for being there. Carly, moved, apologizes for past insensitive remarks, and the two share an emotional moment before Carly leaves with Jason. Luke arrives soon after, devastated. He and Bobbie reminisce about Ruby's unconditional love and how she took care of them when they had no one else. They share tears, regret, and gratitude for the woman who became their family's heart. Felicia joins them to help with the preparations. Later, friends and townspeople gather at Kelly's to remember Ruby. Edward, Quartermain, Jax, Monica, Alan, Lucy, Scott, and Sunny all come by to pay their respects, sharing warm memories and stories about Ruby's generosity and strengths. Each guest highlights how Ruby touched their lives and how central she was to Port Charles. And then there was a side note in the write-up, because I use Soap Central like we do, that Tony Geary actually gave the eulogy at the actress that played Ruby's memorial, and that some of what he said in her memorial is what he said on the episode to remember her by, which I thought was
Why do you tell me this?
I'm sorry, because as I read it, I was like, oh no, I can't put that in there because we'll both be crying. But I will mention that it was the real story.
Well, I was just going to ask you, and I feel like we talk about this stuff so much, and I feel like we did actually talk about this in Lucky and Liz, but like the actress in real life passed away suddenly too. So this was her, but he gave her you. Okay.
Yes. So Laura eventually arrives, explaining that she just learned the news while visiting her mother. She offers condolences to Lucky, Liz, and Bobbie, recalling Ruby's fairness and the role she played in shaping Luke's character. Though she wishes to stay, Laura senses her presence might make Luke uncomfortable and quietly leaves before he returns. After everyone has left, Luke and Bobbie share memories of her and close Kelly's diner, honoring Ruby's spirit and wisdom. Bobbie struggles with grief but begins to reconcile with Carly when Ruby's letter and necklace reveal forgiveness from beyond the grave. The gesture softens Bobbie, leading to a heartfelt conversation where mother and daughter finally connect and acknowledge their similarities and past mistakes. And this is a super sweet scene because Carly is saying, like, as they're discussing Ruby at different points, like, whenever everyone says, say something nice, I won't say how she convinced you to give me away or how she didn't support you keeping me. And then they're going through Ruby's, personal effects to divide everything. And there's a letter there for Carly. And so whenever Bobbie gives it to her, she's like, what is this? Like another letter to tell me how much she hates me? And Bobbie's like, we won't know unless you open it. And so she opens it and it's a story, or it's a letter saying that, obviously Ruby couldn't accept people that hurt Luke and Bobbie because she thought of them like her children, they were her family, whatever. But that since Bobbie had forgiven Carly, that she thought that it was time that she forgive her too, not to carry this grudge beyond the grave, and then left her a necklace that was super important to her. And so Carly wore it then after that.
Does Carly still wear it?
No, not that I've seen. No.
I mean, that would be great.
That would be great. But it was nice to like get the full circle moment.
Yeah. No, we need more of that though. We need, well, so that's basically, Brooklyn and Lois kind of.
Yeah.
That Ruby. Oh man, that would have been great to be able to have Bobbie talk to Brooklyn about, then why doesn't Carly talk to Gio about finding out that later on in life, because Carly was about the same age when she found out. I mean, but Carly was raised knowing she was adopted.
True. But whenever she found out who her actual mom or her birth mother was,
like there is a big difference there, but
I mean, obviously knowing about it and not knowing about it would be a huge difference, but just once you meet the person, like processing through those feelings would be similar, I would think. Feeling like they abandoned you whenever that's not what happened. They were both young.
Well, and finding out that there were outside people kind of pushing the mother to not keep the baby.
Right.
Instead of trying to find a way for them to. You know what I mean? Right. That is exactly why we have Carly. She found out that her mom didn't want her. And, and now we have Carly.
The whole legacy of Carly, yes.
Right. So then, meanwhile, Jason prepares to flee with Michael for safety, while Carly stays behind to comfort Bobbie. Their fragile peace is soon threatened by AJ's claim of paternity, and that's what Jason was leaving, was to keep him away from AJ, and the fallout from Carly's lies. Bobbie warns Carly about the danger of moving into the Quartermaine mansion and of losing Jason's trust. Tony, still bitter and unstable, seeks visitation with Lucas and clashes with both Bobbie and Jerry Jacks. Jerry provides comfort by whisking Bobbie away for a romantic escape. Where'd they go?
I don't know where they went that time.
Oh, that time. Okay.
I think, he took her, like that was his thing. Anytime she was upset, he was like, let's just go away for a night. But I don't know exactly where they went on that.
Nice. Though not without tension from Stefan Cassadine, who unexpectedly ends up stranded with Bobbie during a snowstorm. And Stefan admits he married Bobbie to get to Laura. Okay, how many different things is he going to admit that he used Bobbie for?
He is like the worst person ever. And maybe that's why I don't remember where they were going, because they didn't get to go because of the snowstorm. Because he was coming, he wanted to take her away, and then the snowstorm, like he went out to prepare, and the snowstorm came. So she was stuck at Kelly's overnight with Stefan. But yeah, like she's offering him a meal. She's kind of like teasing him because she has chili that she had on the stove, and he says he's never had chili before, and she's like, oh, here. And she kind of messes with him and puts a bunch of hot sauce in it. So when he takes the first bite, he's like, oh my gosh, this is so hot. So she's like trying to just, let bygones be bygones. We're stuck in this snowstorm. Let's have as nice as we can. And so then they start talking about why they got together. And she says, again, like we talked about last time, he was very upfront with, this isn't really a relationship based on love, but it's based on friendship, and we get along so well, and I can offer you these things. And that she was feeling fed up with love because of all the stuff with Tony. And so that's why she married him. And he's like, yeah, that's not really why I married you. I married you to try to get to your sister-in-law.
He's Louise. So then the next day, Jerry learns Bobbie and Stefan were stranded together and becomes jealous, though they joke about it. Tammy, encouraged by Luke and Felicia, takes over managing Kelly so Bobbie and Jerry can finally leave together. How did Bobbie become the manager of Kelly's? Was that mentioned like in Ruby's will or something that Bobbie would...
Luke didn't want it, so I don't know if that was in the will that Ruby wanted, like Ruby was leaving it to them. I don't know. They kind of had a conversation that that Bobbie was going to do the day-to-day and Luke was going to do like the managerial side of it, because later they'd talk about doing the books and having different people look at the books, because she messes up something and Luke has to hire somebody to look at it. But Tammy...
so it says that Ruby managed it for many years after taking over from the original owners. When Ruby died in 1999, she left the diner to both Bobbie and her nephew Luke, who were her heirs, and Bobbie subsequently ran it.
Yeah, because Luke didn't want anything to do with it. And this is when we get the Tammy character who's around like all the time.
Yes, that was
at
Mike.
Kelly's then. Yes. And
and if you remember her from Lucky and Liz, she was who Lucky tried to pay to have a first time with so that he would be experienced.
Yes.
And just kind of get it over and done with. And she was so sweet to him and did not go through with it and actually gave him some lessons in love instead of the birds and the bees.
Yes. But they ask poor Tammy, like anytime that Bobbie doesn't want to be there or that Liz doesn't want to be there, they're like, hey, Tammy, can you just like cover for us? I'm like, that poor woman's running the entire place by herself.
That happens a lot when you become a dependable person that people ask you to do stuff.
Yes.
Yep. Where was I?
Jason hides.
Jason hides at Bobbie's brownstone with Michael, explaining Carly's lies about him kidnapping their son. We just have to do an entire 411 about Jason and Michael being, he talked to him like an adult, like a little, and I mean, I would talk to my kids that way too, but not have full blown conversations where it's, by the way, I didn't steal you, and your mom's just lying, even though, my brother's her dad. I'm here for you and all that stuff. And meanwhile, reading him books about monkeys.
Right?
Yeah.
He was really the best dad ever.
Yeah. Bobbie confronts Jason about defending Carly, but ultimately supports him and urges him to hire Alexis as his lawyer despite her past with Tony. Alexis's past with Tony? Was Alexis who was representing Tony?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we didn't do Alexis yet.
Mm-mm.
We could just do her cases and then fill in her personal stuff. Like, I feel like sometimes that's going to have to be how we do some of these characters, is we have to do their storylines, like stuff like that.
Right.
Anyway, Alexis agrees to help Jason seek visitation, warning him that the court favors biological parents. Jason accepts her help after she promises to make amends for past mistakes. Bobbie confides in Felicia about her conflict between loyalty to her daughter Carly and knowing Jason is the better parent for Michael. She admits that Carly's lies have made it impossible to fully defend her, though she still feels maternal guilt. Later, when Jason, Carly, and AJ's custody battle heats up, Bobbie witnesses the emotional tension and continues to back Jason quietly. Bobbie and Laura share a deep conversation about Laura's separation from Luke and her complicated feelings for Stefan Cassadine. Bobbie challenges Laura's pattern of denial and warns her about Stefan's manipulative nature, though Laura insists he's been kind. Their conversation ends when Stefan arrives.
And that's whenever Laura was kind of needing a break from everything because her and Luke weren't getting back together. And so Stefan moved her out into some house in the country and was like, whatever she needs, because she was his one love. And Bobbie's like, no, stop. He's gross.
Right. As Michael's custody case worsens, Bobbie comforts Jason and tells him that, court ruling or not, he'll always be Michael's father. Later, she overhears Carly blaming her for not lying on her behalf, leading to another heated mother-daughter confrontation. So she didn't lie on the stand to her or for her?
Nope.
Jason diffuses their argument for Michael's sake. To be fair, though, if she was supporting Jason, though, so at least it was still in Carly's favor. It's not like she was saying, AJ is the dad, he should, or the biological father, he should get custody. Like, she was supporting AJ also not having custody.
She was, but that was what Carly's issue was Carly was moving into the Quartermains to pretend like her and AJ were together, and her and AJ end up engaged, and it talks about a smidge of them planning Bobbie planning the bridal shower for Carly. And so AJ had come to her and been like, look, I can take full custody because you lied to everyone, or we can be together and fight Jason and we'll win because we're the biological parents. And that's ultimately what happened. But Carly wanted Bobbie to say, like you just said, oh, he deserves to be with his mom. And she was like, no, Jason's the only parent that he's ever really known.
Yeah, that's a tricky situation there. Jason diffuses their argument for Michael's sake because he always puts the kids first.
Yep.
He really does, even though it looks like he's kept back from them when it's been dangerous too. So Luke and Bobbie finalize paperwork for Kelly's diner and discuss Laura's situation and Luke's ongoing feud with the Cassadines. Tension rises when Luke warns Jerry about dealings with Stefan. Despite secrets between them, Bobbie and Jerry reaffirm their trust and share an intimate moment.
And this is where she was just like stupid. I'm sorry, but Luke's telling her, listen, this guy's not good news. We've already gone through this once because she heard from him that he was working for Stefan. And he's like, oh, I'll be honest with you. And then he's not, because he's continuing to work for people he shouldn't be working for. And Bobbie's just like, well, I love you, so I'll trust you. And you learned, girl. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was one of those yelling at the TV, like, no, he is a scumbag. We've learned this. Stop.
I think it takes an average of 7 times for somebody to actually break up with an abuser. I think that's the stat. So I would imagine where he's just a toxic person and not, I mean, that is abuse, but not in that kind of an abuse.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like it would take maybe a few more. Well, it does. Guy I dated before, JD. Horrible person.
I was going to say,
with him.
I am definitely pot calling the kettle black here because it took me way more than 7 times. But when you're watching it, you want people to listen to you, even if it's the TV. Like, just stay away from him.
But they didn't have anything together. So, like, they didn't have kids together. They didn't have anything together. It's more difficult whenever there's other people involved. But, like, the guy before JD, I just could have broken complete ties with him, and he kept coming back. And I kept thinking, this time it'll be different.
Yeah. And I think that Bobbie was feeling extra tied to him because Lucas really did have a good relationship with him.
Right.
So,
yep. Finally, Bobbie teams up with Tammy and later Felicia to help reconcile Alan and Monica after a misunderstanding involving Tammy. Their lighthearted matchmaking plan brings comic relief amid the surrounding family drama. What happened? What was the misunderstanding involving Tammy?
So we know what Tammy used to do for work. So Alan's hanging out at Kelly's and builds just a friendship with Tammy over time because Tammy was a nice person.
This wasn't he was involved in drugs.
No. Okay, Monica thinks that he's having an affair with Tammy and he was not.
I'm sure that we went into deep detail about it in the 12 parts that we did of Alan.
Right. It explains a little bit more in the next few paragraphs, but yeah.
Okay. Tony arrives at Kelly's to help Tammy, despite Felicia and Bobbie claiming Tammy isn't there. When Tammy shows up, Tony quickly realizes something's going on. The woman explained they're trying to reconcile Alan and Monica. Tony has called Alan to treat Tammy, convincing him to come over, which earns the woman's gratitude. He's called Alan to treat Tammy, like as a doctor. Okay,
right? Like, oh, she got
to some ice cream. What are we treating her to? A BLT? Like,
no, he's just trying to get him there.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'm starting to remember this. So yeah, we definitely talked about this in the 12-part Alan from like 3 years ago. Monica and Alan end up locked in the apartment, forced to confront their past grievances and miscommunications. A series of humorous and heated arguments ensue, dredging up past affairs, legal issues, and professional mishaps. Despite escalating tensions, Alan and Monica gradually reconcile. Emily arrives, confirms their reconciliation. Ew.
I'll explain it. Go ahead, finish.
Okay. And everyone downstairs celebrates the successful matchmaking plot. Alan and Monica leave happily, with the conspirators satisfied that their intervention saved the couple's marriage.
So it was comical because Alan and Monica end up in Tammy's. They lock them in Tammy's apartment so that they can hash it out. And so they're downstairs, like listening at the bottom of the stairs, like, can we hear any like kissy noises? And then it keeps erupting into argument after argument after argument. And then they don't hear anything. And Emily comes in. And so like, no, Emily, like you can't go upstairs because you're going to find your parents either killing each other or in a compromising position. And she goes upstairs anyway, and then comes down and is like, yes, everything's fine. Like we're good. And so they were happy that they got them to work things out.
Yay. There's an entire cafe full of people cheering you on.
Right. You're back together. Yay.
And they're going to send your teenage daughter up to check on you and make sure that things are... Okay, they didn't allow her. They told her not to go, but they still let her go. They didn't tie her down, and we're like, no.
Do you remember how strong-willed Emily was? She did what she wanted to do.
At Jerry's apartment, he informs Bobbie that he must leave to find Jax and Alexis. He reassures her he will be careful and leaves Lucas behind to stay with Bobbie, emphasizing his role in taking care of her.
Because Lucas wanted to go with him. He was like, I can help. Take me with you.
And he's like, no, be here and take care of your mom.
Yes.
Okay, that's sweet. I don't like when people are like, you have to be the man of the house. You're 5.
Right.
Like, no, you don't. But in this instance, no, you're not going to be able to come on an adventure with me, but you can stay here and take care of your mom. Yeah. After Jerry departs, Bobbie goes to Luke's where she meets Carly for a tense reconciliation. Luke mediates their interaction, warning Carly to watch her words around her mother. And I can only imagine how many times he said Caroline. Despite Carly's jealousy over Hannah and Jason, and Hannah was portrayed by Jonathan Jackson's real-life wife.
Yep.
Bobbie attempts to steer the conversation towards understanding and reconciliation, ultimately calling out Carly's motives and forcing her to confront her own actions. Meanwhile, tragedy strikes as the fire engulfs Lucky's apartment. Firefighters arrive to find a body, and Liz and Bobbie rush to the scene in horror, believing that Lucky has died, with Bobbie and Luke questioning life, faith, and the role of angels in protecting their loved ones. A church service and reception are held in Lucky's honor, where Bobbie struggles with how to tell Lucas about his cousin's death. She eventually asks Carly to stay by her side, despite Carly's discomfort with death. Together, Bobbie and Luke organize Lucky's room, deciding to preserve his belongings as a way to honor his memory. Bobbie also supports others as they cope with their grief. Liz is devastated, blaming herself for Lucky's death, but Bobbie reassures her that it was an accident caused by candles. Jerry remains a source of comfort for Bobbie, encouraging her to take a break from the heavy emotional load by going out dancing with him. Bobbie is introduced to Jerry's parents, John and Jane Jacks, and
we love them.
We often don't really hear Jane referred to as Jane Jacks. It's Lady Jane.
Yes.
Who warmly accepts her. Finally, Bobbie is called to testify in the custody dispute over Michael. She defends Jason, emphasizing his wavering love and devotion as a father. Oh, I thought that had already happened. I'm sorry. While criticizing Tony for letting his personal bias color his testimony. She did that from the stand, or did she just tear into him off the stand?
She tore into him afterwards, like she followed him out of the courtroom. But I felt bad for Tony because AJ knew that Tony's testimony would be the best because he was the treating physician. And Tony kept saying to him, I don't want to do this. You could get any neurosurgeon to come in and read my notes and explain what was going on. If I do this, it's really going to make Bobbie angry. And that's going to affect my custody suit or my visitation over Lucas. And of course, the Court of Ains didn't care. And they pulled their clout and he had to testify. And so she flipped out on him after he had testified.
I don't feel like you even really need a neurosurgeon. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be 100,000% wrong. But, you just said even a nurse. So I feel like if a nurse could read them, because there's not, why couldn't Monica have been on the stand reading Tony's notes is what I'm basically getting to. It could have been a doctor because doctors understand each other's information and notes. Yep. So Jason has testified about his love for Michael and his commitment to providing him with a safe, trusting environment, while Carly attempts to defend him but is silenced by the judge. Despite Jason's heartfelt testimony, the judge ultimately awards primary custody to AJ and Carly, prompting Edward to celebrate while Jason faces disappointment, and Alexis hints at an appeal. She hinted at it. I am fairly certain that woman was probably like, no, we are appealing now. Outside of the courtroom, Jason expresses gratitude to Bobbie and Emily for their support, but tension lingers as AJ confronts him. Meanwhile, Carly confesses to Bobbie that she feels responsible for the custody conflict. Yes.
Right. You should feel that way.
Yes, Carly. It's not guilt that you should be feeling. It is fact that you did that.
Right.
And the two reconcile emotionally?
I mean, Carly and Bobbie obviously end up back in a great relationship eventually. And so they kind of, Bobbie has that guilt like we've talked about over and over again. So Carly's saying to her, we need to get past this. I know you're mad at me because I did, in fact, cause these issues by lying about who the dad was and then saying that Jason kidnapped him. But if you want to see your grandson and want a relationship with me, then we got to get past this. So they keep getting past it.
Okay.
Yes. So since they got custody, if you'll remember, on a side story that I didn't want to get super into, Edward is pushing all of this and is telling AJ that if he can get that family together and keep that family together, then he's going to get to be in charge of ELQ. And AJ's feuding with Ned over who's going to be in charge. And so all of that I tried not to go too far into, but that's why AJ is marrying Carly and he really was saying he wanted to make it work. He wanted the relationship to work. He wanted his family, but also
Right, he wanted a whole family
those,
for his son. Yeah.
Right. But then also he got those perks because of the Quartermains wanting them to be together. So
why did it just occur to me that they really took a lot of that AJ stuff and put it on Drew?
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Except for we liked AJ. This is a whole other conversation we could have.
All right, I'm going to go back to it so that we don't.
Yes.
At the Quartermain mansion, the family prepares for Carly's wedding shower. Bobbie struggles to gather guests. Carly and AJ clash over a prenup, with Carly insisting her intentions are motivated by love rather than money, while Bobbie mediates and attempts to manage the family's chaotic dynamics. The preparations for the shower illustrate the complex relationships within the Quartermain family, including concerns over appearances, social expectations, and loyalties. And this was just poor Bobbie. I swear she invited anyone that she met because no one wanted to come to Carly's shower, including, like, she held it at the Quartermain estate so that the Quartermains would at least be there. And that was what Lila had requested, which was sweet. But there's a scene where Bobbie's saying to Emily, of course you can be at the shower. And she's like, I don't want to be anywhere near this. This is the worst idea in the world. I am not. And she has her typical teenage Emily sass, because at that point she had really come into her own and was in the relationship with Juan and all that stuff. And so she's like, no, I'm not being any part of this. Everyone hates her and we know that we hate her. Why are we trying to pretend like we don't? And Carly is trying to fully get into the Quartermain. You know, that's all she ever wanted. And she starts hanging out with like the socialite people, and she's going to chair this and she's going to chair that. And she just wants to do everything Quartermain. And Bobbie's trying to be supportive, but Bobbie's personal life is equally eventful. She shares romantic and intimate moments with Jerry, balancing her role as a mother to Lucas while addressing his curiosity and concerns. Jerry, meanwhile, grapples with his own uncertainties about fitting into Port Charles and maintaining appropriate boundaries. Bobbie also offers emotional support to Laura, helping her process the loss of her son, Lucky, and encourages Laura to help her daughter, Lulu, remember him. So the romantic and intimate moments, her and Jerry have a romantic encounter in her bedroom because Lucas is supposed to be gone. And then after their romantic encounter is over and they're just snuggling in bed, in walks Lucas and is like, do you know where my baseball cards are? Why is Jerry in your bed, Mom? She's you weren't supposed to be here. And so, yeah, Lucas has lots of questions about why they are so friendly. As the nurses' ball draws closer, Emily's moving video highlights HIV-positive teens and the dedication of the nurses, including Bobbie. However, backstage chaos ensues when a tape of Bobbie and Jerry's intimate encounter is accidentally played during the event, shocking attendees and causing Carly to attempt to rescue her mother from embarrassment. Despite the mishap, Bobbie remains composed, determined to face the situation with dignity. So Emily's interviewing everyone individually to put together this video, and she forgets her video camera in one of the conference rooms, and then Jerry comes to visit Bobbie at work and they get a little carried away in the conference room with it still rolling. And then the tape ended up going to Tony for him to approve, and they lucked out that when Tony went to watch it, he got called away for something, and so he didn't see the video, but he didn't want to hold up Emily editing it all together, so he just gives it back to Emily. And then Emily decides that she's not going to use that part of, like, she already has enough information. She's not going to use that, but she has the tape with her stuff. And so they have this beautiful, conversation about HIV and why they're all there for the nurses' ball and all that stuff. And then as they're trying to switch in between one act and the other, this video starts playing and everyone gets to see their very intimate encounter on the screen.
So there were many ways that this should have not happened, because my first thought was, and she didn't edit this?
Yeah, that is why it did not get edited. And Bobbie was outside talking to Jerry when this was aired. So she walks back into the nurses' ball ready to perform.
No.
And Carly's like, okay, we're going to leave now. Jerry, you need to go away. And how do we get out of here without walking back through the ballroom? And Bobbie, without missing a beat, was like, everybody in there is my friends and family. I'm going to have to face them eventually. So no, I'm going to go do what I need to do for the nurses' ball, and gets right back out there. So with a lively performance of Jump, Jive, and Wail featuring Tony, Mac, Bobbie, Felicia, Mike, Eve, and others. Tony sings lead while Bobbie impresses everyone with flips and cartwheels, and Felicia adds more acrobatics. Afterwards, Felicia discovers Mac, Kevin, and Taggart making a playful poll about whether Lucy will remain dressed for the rest of the event. Bobbie and Jerry discuss the controversial video incident and agree they have no regrets, with Jerry even requesting a personal copy. Laura visits Bobbie briefly, giving her an update on life, and Amy shows Bobbie her society page featuring her and Jerry's exploits. Tony confronts Bobbie about the recent rumors. So this was nice. This is the Tony we remember that we all are like, wait, he was such a jerk. Why are we not remembering this? So Lucas has had dinner with Tony at some point in time and mentioned to him how when he went to look for his baseball cards, Jerry was in mommy's bed. And then he sees the paper. Tony sees the paper talking about how this video is being played at the nurse's ball and whatever. So he really could have been a big jerk to her because we all know that Jerry's not the best guy. And instead, he's not. He's like, whatever, I want you to be happy. I'm glad that you found someone that made you happy. I'm not going to try to use this against you in the custody stuff. I just want to be able to see my son. So, see, there's a reason. There's a reason we love him.
But now it's more of a, was he actually trying to be nice, or was he like, oh shoot, she could probably get more stuff on me too. So now, like, if I can't use this because she'll just have more to use against me.
No, he was actually becoming the nice guy that we love again.
Okay.
So he
I'm jaded now.
Yes, I know you are. But you can't be. You can't be because he was getting back to the good guy. So he reassures her that he will prove himself a good father without harming others. Like he doesn't need to use the bad stuff to show he's good. Carly convinces Jason to relinquish his parental rights to Michael, revealing the lengths she went to protect her family. Bobbie empathizes with Carly's difficult decision and begins to understand why she manipulated AJ to secure Michael's future. At the same time, Tony and Bobbie coordinate their efforts to maintain Lucas's connection to his father. And that's another way that I know that he was being sincere. Like she let him take him to his little league game without her accompanying them. And then whenever he brought her back, Lucas was upset because he messed up whatever the last play was. And Tony was the perfect dad, comforting him the way that he should. So I love Tony. Okay. I love Tony. He was a good guy. And then this is just a side piece because that has your favorite person in it. I thought would mention another major storyline revolves around Luke and the dangerous presence of Faison. At Kelly's, Bobbie and Felicia discuss Luke's need for space following personal tragedies. Faison is revealed to be secretly watching, creating tension as Matt confronts him. Bobbie worries about Luke handling the threat alone, but he reassures her that he can manage himself. Felicia expresses concern for both Luke and Mac, highlighting the constant risk posed by Faison's manipulators. And I don't want to get into that whole rabbit hole either, but this was that weird time that Felicia and Luke were hanging out together all the time. And
when they were
but they weren't. They weren't then. I don't know if this was after, so they were trying to be friends, or if this was before they got inappropriate. But during this time, they really
weren't inappropriate. We just didn't like their relationship.
Yes. Because it's said, in the longer explanation of everything, that Felicia was invited to Carly's wedding, and she brought Luke as her date. And Carly was like, do I need to remind you guys that you're both involved with other people? Why are you here together? And
this was when she was writing Lila's memoirs, though. And that's when she and Luke got together. So they were working that's a whole other thing we can get into. But that's when they were that's when they were together. And then because remember, she started to have those fantasies where she was Lila and Luke was Edward. And it was right because she and Mac weren't necessarily, didn't she just have a thing with the Frisco Mac? Which one should I choose?
Right. But she was supposed to be with Mac though.
Right, exactly. But then she got confused by Frisco again.
She needs to stop getting so confused because she was supposed to be with Mac.
Mac now.
But she was supposed to be with Mac. That's why Mac was so protective of when Faison came around. He was stay away from my woman. So
right.
Anyway, yeah, it just all got whatever. So the narrative takes a dramatic turn when Bobbie and Jerry are involved in a car accident on the way to the cabin. Bobbie awakens to find Jerry injured and calls for emergency assistance. Jerry woke up at the hospital. Jerry wakes up and is delighted to find Bobbie there. Bobbie is shocked when Jerry asks her to marry him. Bobbie's flattered at the proposal, but told Jerry that she wouldn't hold him to it. Trauma patients often become delirious. Jerry insists that he's fully aware of what he's doing and that he wanted Bobbie. Bobbie wanted to know about the timing, and Jerry says that she was his soul, that he loved her. It had taken him eons to get there. He wanted to be held to his proposal for better or worse. We forget that Jerry can be nice, and that he wanted to grow old with her.
Oh no, we don't forget. He is like way, way, way more toxic than Tony, because he is like
I said right.
He's
right.
just like Vaughn. He is like, it's the accent. It is the accent. You can do anything horrible to me if you say it in a beautiful accent.
No, I do not agree with that, but okay.
Think about the things that someone could say to you nastily, but if they say it with that gorgeous, like, Australian or English or like perfect diction, it sounds so much better. It doesn't sound as horrible as it is.
Maybe it depends on the accent. I dated someone that was British and the accent didn't do anything for me. My sister was obsessed with it. Like, I had voicemails from him and she was like, can I just listen to it? His voice is so sexy. And I was like, sure, he's telling me have a nice day. He'll talk to me later. So
it really all depends.
So Bobbie finally accepts Jerry's proposal and leans over to seal the deal with a passionate kiss. She pulls away and they laugh together as they imagine the reaction of their families. As they continue to talk, Jerry suddenly stiffens and has a seizure. The next 24 hours of Jerry's life are critical. When Jax asks about the circumstances prior to the seizure, Bobbie tells him that she agreed to marry his brother. Alexis is delighted at the news and welcomes Bobbie to the family. This is when they were doing the weird foursome.
This would have been definitely when Felicia was writing. Yes. That's when she found the letters from Chloe and all that. So yeah, that is exactly why Felicia and Luke were hanging out so much. Yep.
When Jax is ashamed of the way he has treated his brother in the past, Alexis instructs him to focus on his love for Jerry and how much time they will have together in the future. Inside Jerry's room, Bobbie urges her lover to awaken. When she leaves for a break, Jax takes the opportunity to apologize for letting his brother down. He says the things to Jerry that he mentioned to Chloe that he regretted not mentioning previously, which is just all the responsibility that he felt for Jerry and that he didn't take him under his wing and keep him from getting involved in all of the horrible things that he was involved in and whatever. Carly brings Bobbie lunch and tells her mother that she loves her. When Bobbie cries about Jerry, Carly embraces her. Inside the hospital room, Jerry opens his eyes at Jax's taunting. Bobbie shares her engagement news with friends and family, including Luke, Tony, and Felicia, receiving mostly support. She prepares for her wedding while Jerry shows his devotion through thoughtful gestures and a romantic proposal. So when he proposed in the hospital, he obviously didn't have a ring because that wasn't a planned proposal. So he ends up getting her an actual ring. While all of this is going on, that like foreshadowing that always happens on the side, Carly is talking about how she thought that she could make things work with AJ. They had gone on some romantic beach vacation and taken Michael with them, and it was the perfect picture of a family. But that every beach that she walked on, every sunset that she saw, she thought of Jason, and she doesn't know how to get past this love. And so Bobbie opens up to Carly about how she had a love that she never thought she would get over. And it was this guy named Roy, but unfortunately he passed away. And so that was why she moved on with the rest of her life. But she understands Carly's love for Jason because it's the same as the love that she had for this Roy guy. So suddenly, Bobbie's past love, Roy DiLucca, thought dead for 20 years, is unexpectedly released from prison and returns to Port Charles. She reconnects with him in several encounters. So the first encounter, she saw him, she kissed him, and then she slapped him.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's fair.
Sharing memories of their past, reflecting on how much they both changed, and acknowledging the deep bond they once had. Despite the lingering feelings, Bobbie's committed to marrying Jerry, who she loves deeply and feels is the right partner for her. Because obviously Carly's like, wait, you said Roy was your true love and I don't like Jerry, so you should just marry Roy instead. And Bobbie's like, yeah, that's not how that works. So Bobbie's wedding day turns into a whirlwind of emotion, surprise, and heartbreak. As she prepares for the ceremony, she shares tender moments with Carly and receives thoughtful gifts, including a handkerchief and a locket, symbolizing love and family connection. And that was super sweet because Carly went and found a handkerchief that she had to take like a class whenever she was younger and had embroidered her name in blue thread with it. And she said, she said to Bobbie, like, you have all these pictures and mementos of Lucas growing up, but you don't have anything for me when I was little. So I thought you're something borrowed in blue could be this handkerchief that I embroidered when I was little. And then also gave her a locket that had pictures inside of it. So of
That is really
her and
sweet.
Michael. It was really sweet.
And we talked about Roy was in episode 1, Bobbie. So
yes,
that's how far back.
Right? 20 years he was in jail, but we thought he was dead.
Yeah, how does that happen? Okay, anyway.
Just as Bobbie walks down the aisle and joins Jerry at the altar, the FBI bursts in to arrest him for money laundering, leaving the wedding in chaos. Despite the turmoil, Bobbie maintains faith in Jerry's innocence and reflects on the complexities of love with support from Carly, Roy, and Luke. And again, this is Carly talking about how she's torn between AJ and Jason, and Roy's like, hey, remember, I was your one true love. And Luke is the normal negative that he is of, look at him and Laura, they were so in love, but they're not together. Over time, she grapples with the truth about Jerry's actions, realizing he lied and did engage in illegal activities, yet her love for him remains conflicted. She navigates her emotions while balancing responsibilities for Lucas and processing the heartbreak of a wedding that never fully happened. Amid the upheaval, she finds comfort and guidance from friends and family, including Roy. They're spending lots of time together because Roy is working for Jason and Sunny. And that's how Carly actually meets him, is he comes in to have have Bobbie sign a delivery slip, and he's like, oh, I don't think that we met. And so Bobbie introduces them, and Carly's like, wait, you're the Roy? And goes to tell him, like, my mom told me how much she loves you and that you are the big love of her life. And Bobbie's like, okay, Roy, thanks for that delivery. Like, you're dismissed now. See you later.
Right.
Ultimately, Bobbie faces the challenges of reconciling love with honesty while learning to lean on her support system and begin rebuilding her life after the devastating interruption of her wedding. And she sees Jerry multiple times, and he's trying to tell her, like, they can work it out. Yes, he lied. He's sorry that he caused all this turmoil, but that he wants to be with her.
Then Liz, what I know now, just about crime in general, I feel like money laundering is the one that you're just like, okay, I already know that you're into shady stuff. So if you're being arrested for money laundering, you need to believe that one.
Yes.
Like murder, maybe not so much. Like all this stuff, but like money laundering is pretty common.
Right.
Sorry, JD, if you're listening to this, but if like he were to be arrested for money laundering, I don't know if I'd be like, no, he's definitely innocent. Guys, I really don't think my husband is involved in money laundering. I'm the one who handles the finances, so I don't think it would work out.
He better be helping you with those big purchases. Like, well, don't worry about the checkbook, babe. Here's a lump sum of money that I laundered, but you don't need to know that I laundered.
Right, no, I'm the one who handles the finances in the house, so I really, 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 really don't think, but that's not one that I would be, oh, sure, you're working with my ex-husband who is into shady dealings. I'm going to believe that you're not involved in money laundering. No.
Right. So all this also causes issues between Bobbie and Jason, because remember, she had been on Jason's side through everything with Michael, but she learns that Jason knew that Jerry was going to end up arrested for money laundering and didn't come and warn her. And so she's angry with him. Then Liz urgently seeks out Bobbie at General Hospital, explaining that Jason could be dying and pleading for Bobbie to help. Together they find Jason, and Bobbie begins tending to his gunshot wound while Liz promises Sonny she hasn't told anyone else. Despite Sonny's insistence that they not return to the boxcar, Liz and Bobbie stay to assist Jason. Later, Sonny arranges for Jason to go to a safe house, but as he prepares to leave, he and Bobbie share a quiet moment of reflection about their complicated past. Meanwhile, Jerry's situation becomes more dire as he faces prison, and Bobbie struggles with the emotional fallout from their broken engagement. Despite her deep feelings for him, Bobbie knows she must let him go. Jerry, too, contemplates their relationship and admits that Bobbie was the one person who truly loved him for who he was, not what he could offer. As their paths diverge, Bobbie finds herself reflecting on the men in her life, including Luke, who's in jail, and Jax, who tries to help Jerry but faces his own personal turmoil with Alexis and Chloe. In the end, Bobbie is left heartbroken, watching Jerry leave Port Charles, knowing despite their love that they shared, they must move in different directions. I'm trying to think if there is anything else that happened important there. Okay. And then at Ruby's, Carly quietly informs Bobbie that Jason has been shot and is upset to learn that Bobbie already knew and had seen him without mentioning it. Carly urges Bobbie to examine Jason, so they go to the studio where Jason reluctantly allows them in. Bobbie tends to his wound, but Jason is adamant about wanting Carly to leave. Their back and forth is interrupted when Liz arrives, demanding to know why Carly is there. Yeah, the only scenes from that was that Carly was like super angry because she's telling Bobbie, like, hush, hush, like, I don't want anyone to hear this because he got shot. And she's like, yeah, I know, I totally took care of him. Liz and I already went over this. It's fine.
Right.
And then we get into that week of Christmas that's all about that. So meanwhile, at the hospital, Bobbie and Tony share a moment, and Audrey expresses concern about Liz's involvement with Jason. And their moment was Tony, because again, he's back to being nice, is talking about how he misses being Santa Claus and getting to read the story to the kids. And so Bobbie goes and talks to whoever is in charge and then gets to bring the suit to Tony and is like, here, you get to be Santa Claus. So he runs off to change. And it's very, yes, see? Well, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas plays. The Quartermains share Christmas together. The Mixed Married, which again is the foursome there, were together and happy. Jax and Chloe share a kiss while Ned and Alexis do the same. Emily and Juan share a kiss under the mistletoe. Bobbie was alone with a gift that Jerry had delivered to the hospital. She couldn't help but look a little sad as she ate her red licorice. Roy happens upon Hannah on the docks and gathers her up in a comforting hug. And the Roy storyline that I'm sure we've talked about at some point in time through all of the things that we've done is Roy's actually working for the FBI, and Hannah is his daughter that is part of the FBI also.
I don't think we've talked about that. We wouldn't have yet because he just came back. And we've never talked about Hannah.
If in somebody else's. No? Okay.
I don't think so. Because we've never really done, unless Taggart was involved. But I still don't think that.
No, I guess we haven't done Sunny because that would take forever. So we would have heard about it in Sunny because Sunny being involved with Hannah was, you know, the whole reason Hannah was in town.
The only thing that I can think of how it would have happened would have been when we were doing Taggart, because he worked with Hannah and Hannah had the thing with Sunny.
Yes, yes.
So,
and that caused an issue with Carly and Bobbie also, because Carly came into the Brownstone to talk to Bobbie, but Bobbie was in the other room talking to Hannah, and Hannah was telling her, hey, Roy's my dad, and we're in all this FBI stuff together. And Carly ran out and took the information back to Sunny. And so then it put Roy in a bad position because it looked like he was infiltrating Sunny's business, but he wasn't really trying to trap Sunny. Like there was other stuff beyond Sunny that he was trying to get the information on. So
right.
But we'll have to get to that's all. That's not really Bobbie, so I didn't want to go all into that. But yeah.
No, but it's another little side story that
it is very hard to stick to the topic.
It is.
I just want to talk about everything, okay? It was the 90s. I understand. It was good.
Or as someone pointed out, though, the other day on the Port Charles pipeline, that it's always been this way. We've definitely had I mean, we are even doing it right now as we're going through this stuff. We're like, oh my gosh, it was that ridiculous, just like it's ridiculous right now. But then we had these little things that we loved. And the thing is, those things are the things that we remember forever and ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I can't wait to jump into the millennium.
Oh, geez. Oh my God, stop.
I remember 1999.
Yeah.
It was a simpler time.
Sure. In some ways, yeah.
It was my senior year.
Yeah, that's that age difference that isn't a lot between us, but is a lot as far as very significant things happening in our life. Because I would have been going into 2000, Matt would have been turning 2. So
yeah, no, was not a mom yet. Give me 2 more years, I'll be right there with you.
Right? Then we kind of merge back together. But yeah, it was hard watching this even because the obviously YouTube like flips to the next section. And so it started getting into 2000 and I'm like, wait. We have to just finish this at Christmas and then move forward. I don't want to get too far into it because that would be too much. So
yeah. Nope. Well, awesome. Well, that's it for Bobbie for this week. I don't feel like there's going to be any updates from anyone.
Maybe Roy will come back this week.
Other than, Carly we still have, but yeah, there's not really a lot of people in this storyline that are really still just Carly and Jason.
And Lucas.
But he's an adult now. He's got his own stuff going on.
He does.
Maybe Jerry will come back and hang out with his buddy Lucas.
See, I wish that Lucas, they would explore letting him have somewhat of a relationship with Wiley, because I feel like he could say, I remember getting attached to Jerry and then being upset whenever he was no longer a part of my life. If I could have a relationship with Wiley, it would be nice. I know Wiley was younger, but still.
And there's a big difference in the dynamic of that relationship between Lucas was aware that Jerry was not his dad.
Right.
Lucas was not aware that Wiley was not his son.
Right.
But still,
I just wish they had time together.
I think that someday, when Wiley has the questions, I can't see Lucas turning him away.
Yeah.
Even though it's going to hurt, I don't think he'll turn away.
Okay. I will get off of that tangent. Again, I could talk about all these people
we will
forever,
see on Monday. So. On Monday when we recap this week's episodes.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.